What you doing? I'm the AC, and this is Alcohol Anime. Okay, so in this episode of Alcohol Anime, as you can probably tell by I don't know why. Okay, it's customary. I went and watched Lonely Castle in the Mirror, which, as I was about to say in the beginning, you probably know, which is why you're listening to this. But it's always good to say. So this is another one I saw in theaters, and I'll go through that whole experience. Um, there's a lot to talk about, but like with all these theater ones, is I can't be in there just taking notes. I can't be drinking that much either, even though it was an option this time. But I still have to drive home, and there's just a lot to this one. But uh, I really like this movie, and it's a shame that I feel like I'm going to forget so much. So, yeah, you can take that however you want. There will be a lot of spoilers to this. By the time this podcast comes out, it'll be like a week or so since I saw the movie in theaters well, subbed, but English release. But before we get to all the movie stuff, this is alcohol anime, like I always say. So I need to talk about alcohol. Like I said, I saw it in theaters. Can't drink, even though I finally went to a theater this time that has alcohol in it. I was already kind of tired getting there. It was a long day, and I didn't want to risk like drinking too much and falling asleep, which normally doesn't happen. But also being tired and needing to drive back, I was like, I won't drink too much. So I didn't drink at all because wasn't running late, but I wanted to make sure I was there just in case for some reason it decided not to do any previews, and it almost didn't do any previews. I was almost late and missed the beginning of this. So yeah, no alcohol while watching it, but definitely alcohol now. Um, but nothing special because I just got what I already had, and it was so hard. I didn't think about a drink that would make sense for this until literally after right around the time I was about to start recording. Um, and I'll get to that drinks that make sense with this film. But first, let me tell you what I'm actually drinking, which is called. It is Happy Dad Hard Seltzer. Never heard of it before. It is okay. It has electrolytes. It says. Um, Happy Dad has nothing to do with this. The main character has a dad, yeah. Pretty much never in the movie. There's another dad in the movie, for another character. Terrible. Really bad. I'll get to that. So there's no happy dads in this movie, so this doesn't fit. But it's all I got. Someone gave it to me because they just want to get rid of it, and it's not bad. They just make a room in the fridge apparently, and the only way I can justify this is because it's like mirror is it's a clear drink and there's a reflection in my glass that I'm drinking it out of. That's it. That's the only justification I can make for this. Yeah, it makes no sense. It doesn't matter. Or hey, Lonely Castle, a happy dad. You think a happy dad would stick around with the family, but if you have a dad who thinks they would be more happy not being with the family, then you feel lonely because your dad is somewhere off being happy, maybe with a different family. I don't know. There could be some loneliness there. This is weird. This is awkward. Um, yeah, I mean they are what 5% alcohol. Yeah, I'm not feeling it yet, but it is. I don't know. It tastes fine. It tastes weird. Uh, they're also really old, I think, which is why you want to get rid of them. So they might not even be good. I don't know if seltzers go bad, but it tastes weird. I don't know if that's the seltzer or just the age. But there's also like no carbonation in these. They're like very minimum, which is probably why they're so clear. They are so clear. It really does look like water. Like no bubbles, just I don't know, it's weird. But that's why I'm actually drinking. Like I said, it doesn't make any sense. So what would make sense with this movie? Well, first off, let me just mention most of the characters in this, they're children. They're middle schoolers. So I'm definitely not going to make alcoholic drinks for children. The only other adult characters we see in this film are the main character, Kokoro's mom, who is named Kokoro's mother. Just realized I don't remember her name, and look at me pulling up a list of the characters' names because there's a lot of them, and I want to make sure I remember them. Yeah, it just says Kokoro's mother. So yeah, her, and then dang, like a teacher. Oh no, there's some some teachers that briefly there's one in particular, but I'll get to that. Actually, no, talking about one of the teachers, brings up strawberry tea. I think that's what it was. Strawberry tea, and that is at least to me, it's not in there a whole lot, but it's brought up twice. Uh, I don't know, what is a strawberry tea alcoholic drink? What's kombucha? Is kombucha tea? I don't know. Wait, is it? I don't know, some kind of alcoholic tea, not like a twisted tea. Maybe a twisted tea. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure either twisted tea or Lipton hard tea has a strawberry flavor. Oh, that's what I should have got. That would make so much more sense. What could you mix in tea to maybe whiskey? I think that's a okay drink to mix with tea to get some kind of alcohol strawberry tea mix going on. But that's really the only drink in the entire thing. I guess water, but what is alcoholic water except for just alcohol? That's stupid. Uh, yeah, I don't remember seeing any other drinks in this. No one actually. Oh well, there's one drunk character. That's a bad representation of what I want though. Oh, I don't. It's at the very end. I want to hold off on talking about that because this is an important plot point eventually. It's a reveal. You can probably guess already. If you are like me and put things together real quick because apparently you can just predict bad things. Ooh, yeah. Also, I'm just going to say, the main character of this should have been the main character. Well, maybe that's the point. You know what? That's enough of alcohol. I really want to talk about this movie. I really liked it. It surprised me. Ooh, and apparently I'm just want to keep alluding to things that's happening anyways. Not much of an alcoholic drink you can get with this. If I was to say anything, a clear, something mirror-like, something that can reflect. You can maybe, if you have a glass that has a mirror in it, I think I've seen something like that. Or just a reflective glass, a clear, or at least reflective liquid you could see yourself in, and then just drink by yourself. Just do that. Be lonely. And hey, if you have a castle laying around, be lonely in your castle looking into the mirror while you're drinking your also clear reflective drink out of a reflective glass. Really leaning into the mirror thing. You can probably guess what my little short's going to be. By the way, you didn't know, I'm bringing my alcohol anime shorts back. I did one for the last episode of these. If you listen to these as I put them out. So yeah, the other thing, strawberry tea, whiskey. That's it. That's the only thing. Or I guess the Lipton hard tea, the strawberry flavor. I'm pretty sure that was a thing. It was really good if I remember correctly. So yeah, that's your alcoholic choices for this movie, if that's where you're wanting to go with that. But let's talk about the movie. So, information about the movie or my movie experience. Which first? What I don't remember. Let's talk about experience because there's less to talk about that. A lot more to talk about the movie. So, this came to the U.S. for only 2 days. Remembering what days those were, the 21st and 22nd of June. And it wasn't in my theater where I live. So I had to drive an hour, which, not the best thing to have to do, but totally worth it. Because this movie, like I said, pretty good. It was long enough to justify it too. It's 160 minutes, almost 2 hours, which is nice. I always complain about movies not being long enough. And this one, it felt great. I have no problem with the length. I do have a problem with the length. It could have been a little bit longer, just in one scene when I think about it. One scene could have been longer. But yeah, I had to go all the way an hour away, and which probably isn't that bad to complain about. It's just I have a theater here. It wouldn't take that long to get to, but yeah, it doesn't have as good stuff. But the theater I did go to had alcohol. Didn't get to drink it. But, and seats, so much nicer. So comfy. kind of. They're weird. I'm too. You can lean back in them, but you can't stay lean back. So you can rock in them. They're like weird, comfy rocking chairs. Unless I was just doing it wrong. And it's one of those theaters where you get assigned seats. So that was cool. And it wasn't completely empty. That's the biggest bonus. I mean, as much as I like watching a movie by myself and being lonely, that would have been so sad now that I think about it. I went and saw this movie called Lonely Castle in the Mirror, and it was just me. Oh no. But no, that's not it. There's people. There's like someone 2 seats from me, a seat in between us. And so to just if you get my sense of I'm not going to sit next to someone unless I have to. That's how much room was available. Uh, I didn't talk to the dude. He seemed cool if he was there watching the movie. But yeah, there was plenty of people there. It wasn't packed. It wasn't anything like that. But there was people there, and I'm glad. I don't know how the second day was. This was the subbed version. That's the other cool thing. Finally get to see another film subbed because I've been going to theaters and they either lie to me or the only time available is dubbed. And so I'm glad this one was finally subbed. I can't imagine going and it being dubbed. I mean, not wanting to shit on the English voice actors. I see their names, don't recognize any of them, but yeah, I prefer subbed. And then of course, even if it is the Lonely Castle, I didn't go and see it by myself either. I went with someone who's been a guest on this podcast before, but uh, not available for the actual podcast. We just went and saw it together. Anyways, and apparently it was enjoyed by both of us, which was surprising because I feel like I was just dragging someone along with me because I didn't be lonely watching a lonely movie. I would have if I didn't find someone to go with me. But anything else that happened? No. Oh yeah. So the film going into it, actually just talking about actually watching it, I was almost late because we get drinks and snacks, but then I was like, movie's starting already, and I don't know how many previews there'll be. Turns out there was the one preview. Don't even remember what it was. I don't think I got to see all of it. And then the movie just started. Like there was nothing saying this is the movie, or like an open credits, or like a opening title or anything. It's just like it started so like nice and quiet, just so it really eased into it. And I was like, oh, this is a weird trailer, and then it was like, oh, this is the actual movie. Okay, so yeah, that was the experience. One trailer. Then movie started. Almost late watching it. Glad I didn't wait for snacks and alcohol. So it was worth it. I had the option to get there even sooner, but that didn't happen either. So that's the movie experience. Let's get a little information about this movie because I liked it. To educate, if I can say so. Just because I'm drinking doesn't mean I can't be informative. So yeah, Lonely Castle in the Sky, uh, Japanese name Kagami no Kojo. It was originally a novel by Mizuki Sujimura. Uh, Apparently published in 2017, so not that long ago. There was also apparently a manga that came out in 2019 to 2022. Knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about this. Oh, I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, I knew nothing about this um, until like I saw GKIDS just post randomly about it. I just happened to see it. I was like, that looks so interesting. Oh, it's coming out in like a couple weeks. And it's like I should figure out how to go see that. And then I went and saw it. But there really wasn't any advertising for it, especially if there's only a 2-day event. I don't know. I don't really keep up with GKIDS that much either, I guess. I just happened to see it out of the blue. So it's good timing, I guess. I guess they did market it enough if I found out about it. But I'm mostly trying to keep up with all this stuff. So maybe that's why I saw it. Anyways, yeah, there is an English release of the novel that apparently came out in 2021. I been meaning to look up that So I'm glad I see it now because I need to look in it. Because I actually do want to buy this book. It was really good film, so I feel like, hey, maybe the book will be even better because I can see that this could have been longer. It says there was a re-release of the novel into 2 volumes, so it might be a pretty long book. Does it say the page length of this? No, it doesn't. So that makes me even more excited. No, it could be a longer book and look at something else. So I'm gonna have to get on that. But yeah, so manga, the movie came out in Japan originally, December 23rd, 2022. So not that long of a wait. And then licensed by GKIDS for the US at least only 2 days. That's a shame because it was a good movie. Maybe I wouldn't see it being as big as like a Your Name, but should have got full release. But even actually, when I think about it, I don't think Your Name got full release either. It's only more recently that anime films are getting like a full theatrical release, as far as I remember or am aware of. So yeah, like I said, 116 minutes. It could have been just a tad longer. One scene, really, all I can think about is there's one scene that could have been longer with a little more to it. And I feel like it might be in the book. I really want the book now. I need to look into that. I'll do that after this, though. So yeah, that's just being a little informative for you. The manga is also coming out in English, but the first volume of that isn't going to be here until November of this year. So we're going to have to wait for all 5 volumes of that. I don't know if I'll get that. I think I'll just prefer the novel. I love manga, but it's usually stuff like this. One, I don't want to wait, and also, yeah, I don't. The novel's going to be better. So, what happens in this actual film before I get too carried away just talking about more and more? Ooh. Okay, so it starts. Uh. Hmm. Starts with this girl named Kokoro not wanting to go to school. Her mom, her dad, he pops in. He doesn't do anything. But her mom seems a little fed up, but also is like whatever. I think there's also like a alternative school or something she was going to go to instead. I think she could go both, almost like what you see in cram schools, but it's an alternative school they say in this one. Uh, but she goes to neither. She just stays home. Of course, there must be reasons why. Uh, does it matter if I do all this chronology as it happens in the movie? Nah, it doesn't. Because there's so much stuff, I'm just going to say it as I say it. Because, like I said, don't have notes. I'm trying to remember this as I saw it in the film. So, her whole problem is she's getting bullied by girls at her school, kind of. There was a new girl, and she was friends with the new girl, and then some other little girls started like picking on her, wanting to be friends with her, and then at some point, the girl, uh, they say she was like talking to one of the girl's girlfriend or boyfriend, and these are middle schoolers, like first year or junior high, first year junior high students. I'm assuming all this stuff happened in elementary school if they're first years, which is okay. Um, that's so dumb. I don't know. Some of this is kind of silly, and that's also why I think she's the main character because uh, the girls come to her house and like bang on the windows and yell at her and stuff. They don't, as far as I remember, physically do anything to her, except for just like, pick on her and kind of prank her and just embarrass her and kind of keep her away from her new friend. But yeah, compared to what 7 people, I think she has. She pretty much has it the least worst, which is why she's the main character. And throughout the film, she kind of sees everyone else's trauma and why they don't go to school. Because none of them go to school. They're all middle schoolers. Apparently, kids aren't forced to go to school in Japan. I don't know what that whole deal is. But yeah, suddenly her mirror sucks her in. She's in this castle with a little wolf girl telling her and these 7 other kids there's a room that can't be unlocked or entered unless you find a key. Forget the room. Nobody gives a shit about the room anymore. he was like, oh, a room. And it's like, but you gotta find the key. And it's like, oh, key. And it's like, find a key. Spoiler: once they find the key, it's already in the room. Pretty much, the key's in the room they gotta get into. That room part made no sense. I thought it would be like, oh, find the key and then figure out the room. No, find the key. That's it. So yeah, and that's pretty much the premise of the story. This girl, the main character, and then the 6 other kids, they have a year to find this key. And if they don't find it and don't use it and make their one wish that they get granted for it, they will remember their year. But if they use it and use the wish, then they forget everything. Of course, they find it and use the key, so they forget everything. But you see all that in the trailer. I just took a long time to explain what you could just watch in a trailer. Except for what actually happened with Kokoro and why she is. Everything else I just said literally is the trailer. So, the other people you see in this are... They have 2 names. I only remember... Oh, the first one. Aki... Man, it's going to be hard to remember what year everyone is and who's who. So, Aki, she by far has it the worst. I'll go through everyone's trauma so far because you don't even learn about it till the end. All of them are dropouts for some, not dropouts. They just don't go to school for some reason. And she doesn't have much of a reason to go for school besides saying she doesn't fit in. But a reason for going and spending so much time in a lonely castle is she is sexually abused by her dad or stepdad. I would hope it wasn't either of them or anybody, but at least somewhat slightly worse. Hope it would be the stepdad, not the actual dad. I don't know, and that was the character I said is a bad representation of drinking. It was so bad, and you don't find any of this stuff out about any of the characters until pretty much the very end. And that one was hard to watch. And like I kind of predicted it too, but I thought it would be like a boyfriend or an older man, like a teacher, because there's always weird shit like that in this. But even worse, it was her dad. Yeah. So that's why she spends so much time here. But it doesn't really explain why she doesn't go to school. Then we have... Dang, I'm trying to remember names. Let's go with... I'm just doing these in random order. Masamune is... He gets... I'm pretty sure his name... People don't believe him. Everyone thinks he's a liar. He loves video games. We find out eventually his first name's Earth, which is just... Okay, crazy. But yeah, he gets really bullied a lot more than even Kokoro does until he just eventually stops going to school too. So not as bad as Aki, of course. Urashino, he's kind of chubby, really sweet, kind of, I don't know, a little overbearing. He's just a lot. He really wants friends. So he's like all over people a lot. And he really likes the girls. There's 3 of them. And they don't bully him, but they really try to give him the cold shoulder. And they're just annoyed by him. Like, these other kids that have been bullied, and they're almost bullying him. And it's like, oh, that's so sad. But to his credit, he's the first one to be like, I'm going to go back to school. Pretty much to prove them all wrong. And then the next day he comes back, he was pretty much beat the shit. And he's like, I'm fine. And they're like, oh, you want to play games with us? And and then he becomes just like a normal part of the group. So yeah, it was a little sad for that too, especially with everyone's attitude toward him. But and then the 3rd girl, her name's Fuka. She's like a piano player. Her mom becomes overbearing, and really wants her to be good at piano, and so much so that she's always trying to practice and do whatever, but then other people bully her because of her wanting to be good at piano, and then she still doesn't win like competitions, and she kind of loses the ability to play, which she slowly gets back because there's a piano in this castle. And then, and she kind of, like Urishio, he goes through each girl, first Aki, then Kokoro, and then eventually Fuka. And it seems like Fuka and him have a thing by the end a little bit. Not, or it could be. Then Subaru, he's the oldest guy at least. He's, we don't know much about him. He sometimes listens to music, or he has like a natural knack with video games that Masamune's playing. Apparently, he's never played before, and he still is really good at them. And we don't see much of the reason why he doesn't want to go to school, though. He might have just been one of the, like, the only thing I can think of, he was like the visionary type. Like, he was more on board for technology and stuff like that, and maybe a little too much that people didn't understand yet, and that kind of got him neglected by other people. The only thing you really see is him listening to music, like sitting against a wall by himself, and that's pretty much all we get for him. And then the last character, at least of these, is his name's Rion, and we find out at some point all the other kids here all went to the same middle school. Of course, they wouldn't know that because they don't go. Except for, it turns out Rio, this whole time, has been in Hawaii. And he goes to school. And he plays soccer. And he does all that stuff. And it's kind of just like a mystery of why he gets spoiled here. Until you learn that his sister, who would have been older, was going to go to the same middle school, and he wanted to go to middle school, but he got sent away. But his sister died, and he was wanting to go instead of her. But yeah, he just never got to because his parents sent him to Hawaii for whatever reason. I don't know. Hawaii's nice, and I don't know if you're listening to this and you don't know, I lived in Hawaii for like 4 years. I was really thinking, I was like, which school would they send him to if this is based off of a real school that exists? And I have no idea. It does show like a shirt at some point, or a jersey, that has the school's name on it, but I don't remember it. Yeah, there's no way. No, not Kailua. I don't remember. But yeah, so he's in Hawaii the whole time, and there's a whole difference, and that becomes a big, not a big deal, but a big point, because it's like, oh, one of the other things to this castle is you have to leave by 5 p.m. Japan time, and they're like, okay, and it's like, if you don't, Big Wolf's gonna eat you, and it's like, and then when he reveals he's from Hawaii, I say, oh, that's why it mentions time. And there's another to this, because all the kids go through, and we're all like, oh, okay, this is nice. You're getting to know each other, getting to know the castle. They're starting to look for the key. And there was just something that was bugging me. It's like, okay, well, we know they all go to the same middle school. And then at some point, Masamune's like, I'm going to have to switch schools. All of us should go one day so we can see each other in real life. And they all go, and they don't see each other. And then I was like, because at some point earlier in the movie, they're like alternative school teacher, but some of them have. She showed up at Kokoro's house and had strawberry tea. Well, you know who else had strawberry tea at some point earlier in the film? Aki. She brought strawberry tea to the castle. And then all of a sudden, here's this woman who looks just very similar to Aki, also bringing strawberry tea to Kokoro. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Okay. It's like, this whole thing, they're all coming from different times, and guess fucking what? When they don't all show up, and then they meet back in the castle, Masamune's like, that's weird. Maybe this is alternate reality, or we're all in parallel universes, or something like that. And I was like, you were so fucking close, kid. But how do you go to parallel universes first instead of just like different times? I was like, so close. But it makes more sense. That's why you emphasize you gotta be out by 5 p.m. Japanese time, Japan time, whatever. Like, they brought up time, like, there's a clock on the wall. Of course, they're all from different times. I kind of saw that coming from pretty early on in the movie. And then when they don't meet up, I was like, okay, so that's exactly what happened. And then he's just like, we're from parallel universes. And then the wolf girl's just like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, think about it a little bit better. I don't know why I got so, like, worked up over that. But it was just like, it was kind of obvious. I was like, you should have figured that out. So yeah, they're going. Things seem to be getting better slowly for all of them in their life. We of course don't see each of their normal lives. Don't really even know if any of them try going back to school. Aside from of course, Ryoan's going. Kokoro does. Of course, they all tried going that one day, but Kokoro finally reveals to her mom what's been going on, and her mom's like, all for her, so supportive. And I was like, what the fuck? You didn't tell your mom this whole time? That would make things so much more understandable. And I get it. Kids are, I don't know, kids are afraid of sharing, or people just don't want to express. I don't know. This is one thing. Hey, talk to people. Even if they don't listen, someone will. Talk to them, especially your mom, somebody, teacher. And hey, it goes to show like both sides of this, which is, she tells her mom, she believes him, tells the teacher who is just future Aki, so, spoiler, whatever. And of course they believe. Of course, Aki had the whole traumatic experience, so she knows stuff like this happens. And then she goes and tells her different teacher at her main school. He doesn't believe. He's on the other girl's side. And so it's like, yeah, you see both sides. Someone's not going to believe you, someone will. But you will never know if you don't tell. So that's a big moral of this film. Is just don't stay quiet about your problems. And then there's the whole bullshit thing. Oh, I'm getting worked up again. They spend a year together, and they never talk about what year it is to any of them. They don't want to talk about the fact that they're not going to school. Okay. But then eventually they do. They realize it with everyone else. I think it's Urashino that throws it out there. But the whole time, none of them talk about where they, like, what year it is for any of them. Like, and you see it, like Subaru and Masamune, they have like different age of technology. Masamune has PSP. It looks like Subaru has like a cassette player with headphones. It's like, it's an obvious difference. Oh, and apparently they're all 7 years apart. There's a lot of 7 going on in this. Who I think from like oldest to youngest, it's Subaru, then Aki, then it would have been oh, that's a spoiler. Then there's a gap, and then another 7 years. There is Kokoro and Rion, then Masamune, then Fuka, then Urashino. If I am, yeah, I'm pretty sure, because there's a point at the end where Fuka's like, "Oh, Urashino, you're actually 7 years younger than me," and he's like, "Yeah, but and so it got a little awkward there. So, but now, in the future when they're adults, but of course they don't remember it because they do use the wish at some point. There's just a bunch of stuff to talk about. So I knew at some point in this film, one of them was going to stay behind, stay a little too long in this mirror world, this lonely castle, and so I was just trying to figure out who would have it the worst, and it kind of feels like it would be Aki, because seems like she's there the most. I don't know. There's not really anyone else that would make a strong case for it. But then after, so yeah, she stays behind. Everyone else realized they were running out of time and left before because they couldn't find Aki because she was hiding. And yeah, but that day Kokoro went and finally made up with her old friend, so she didn't go in the mirror world at all, so she was spared. Everyone else was pulled back into the mirrors. Aki was eaten by the wolf. It was kind of a brutal thing seeing. You don't see actually get eaten, but you see like a wolf about to attack. Um, yeah, so soon everyone's eaten. We see Rion also attacked by the wolf. They're all trying to talk through the mirror back to Kokoro to warn her and tell her that she needs to find the key, which, okay, I guess that means she has to come back in the mirror where, there's a wolf waiting, which is the only questionable part in this film that, well, some of it doesn't make sense, but this one was really like, where did the wolf go? Because she goes back in the mirror to find the keys, and um, the wolf isn't there at all. You don't see the wolf anymore. And it's like, well, it's past 5. Why is she allowed to go back in? And where's the wolf not attacking her? I thought it'll be her trying to like hide and sneak and actiony whatever, trying to avoid the wolf while getting the keys. The wolf just never shows up again. She found a picture. In, she found a picture at her friend's house. I don't even remember her friend's name, but just coincidentally, and had like 6 sheep in the wolf, and there's 7 sheep. The whole thing is like a mix of the Big Bad Wolf, Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood. I don't know if it's actually based off those or that's just the English subtitle translation of that stuff, but that's kind of what it's based off of. Because the Wolf Girl, all that, whatever. And so she finds this picture at her friend's house, bring it back, and they notice throughout this year there's X's at random spots, and it lines up with the picture where there was a lamb or whatever hiding in that spot in the picture, same thing as the house. But then there's like, oh well, there's only 6 lambs, there's 7 kids, and then she was like, well, the 7th lamb is hiding inside the clock. That's why you don't see it. So she goes to this big ass clock, and I was like, oh well, you know what's on the clock? That has Roman numerals, a fucking X to represent 10. And I was like, I thought that was gonna come out of the clock. It doesn't. That would have been more creative if that X came out of the clock. No, whatever. Instead, a giant staircase comes out, and she walks very slowly up this staircase that just kind of like spins around the room a bit. That draws it out. That's a scene that could have been quicker. Oh, by the way, the scene I said should have been longer is the fact that the wolf should have been trying to get her too, and it never does. So this movie should have been longer, but I guess they made up for it with her slow ass walk up the stairs. But she makes it to the top eventually. The stairs start disappearing, so she does have to run. But she is the slowest runner. I know she's a child, but it looked like she was walking faster. I don't know. Maybe it's just a trick of the sparkly stairs and light and whatever. Then she gets in the mirror or the clock. Then she gets the key and she sees everyone else pass while they're there. And we saw at one point, that's when we saw Aki almost molested by her dad, and why she escaped into the mirror. And then the whole reason she was hiding is because she didn't want to go back to that. She was apparently living with her grandma, but then she died, so the only choice was to live with her dad. So just fucking live in the mirror or get eaten by a wolf, and that's what she chose. It was kind of sad. It really fucked up. Ooh, and then, but of course that means everyone else got ate too. Of course, we only see it with Rion. The others could have been running around looking for the keys. You think that's what, or they would have been trying to do in a desperate attempt? I don't know. It makes no sense. Right? They're like, you need to come here and look for the key too. And it's like, well, where the fuck did you go? Maybe they knew she was protected because she didn't go in the mirror that day. But then she's still in the mirror. Yeah, it doesn't make complete sense what's going on with that. But yeah, it worked out. She found the key, and then because Aki was eating her Kokoro's wish, which if Aki wouldn't have done this, it wouldn't even waste a wish because in the end it doesn't change anything. But the wish was to forgive Aki for a mistake or forget about Aki's mistake of staying behind the castle. That way it means Aki and everyone else never got ate. And it's like, well, fucking waste. You spent this whole year. You made the very last day you found the key, and all it is to be like, yeah, let's just forget all this. It's like, what was the point? Because they forget everything. They go back to their life. Their life isn't changed. Aki's still going to have to go back to that life she was in. All of them are going to have to deal with their own problems, except for now they forgot about each other and everything they learned. I don't know what year it is. I don't know if this year still happened or they just went back to the beginning of the year of when this happened, because I wasn't didn't realize I was going to need to pay attention to the years until it was too late. So it might have been a year already. I don't think it was, or maybe it was. It's hard to tell. I don't think it was. It just, I don't know, the times and the years don't really line up. I wish I could go back and rewatch this or get the book, which is what I want to do, because I just want to see if all this stuff lines up. Because yeah, after this they learn about the time thing. They're all from different times. Fucking dumb. And that they're all 7 years apart, and it would have been Rion's sister that would have been in that gap in between Aki and Kokoro. Uh, and but his sister died, and then we learned the thing I didn't predict. It was like me trying to figure out who the Wolf Girl is, what this whole thing is. I don't know how I didn't predict it, because thinking about it, oh yeah, that should have been kind of obvious. The Wolf Girl is Rion's older sister. It was her as a little girl before her cancer, or like while she was fighting the cancer, and in her hospital room she had this castle, and he recognized it, and the way it seemed like he knew this whole time. He just didn't know how to bring it up or what to say. So yeah, this whole thing has been like his sister's ghost or something, some supernatural thing with his sister bringing all these people together or whatever for Rion, maybe. I don't know the complete motivation behind it, but everyone is going to lose their memories now and go back to their exact same lives. But Rion asks one favor. Um, if he can at least remember, which is kind of bullshit. Shit, I was like, yeah, just like as a favor, as siblings, I guess. If make sure he remembers at least some of it, and she's like, she'll try her best, and apparently it does, because it cuts back to Kokoro going to school, and something's different. I don't know, like she's going to school, so I don't know. I feel like maybe all the characters went back, don't remember everything, but did keep the feeling and keep. There was something like maybe they had a feeling that something's different, or they could still kind of remember, because Rion's there. He pops up and like walks up to her, kind of like he's familiar with her, and he's not in Hawaii, so he's going to go to school there too. She doesn't recognize him though, so like that's how you know for sure they don't have memories. And now thinking about as Aki as her older self, teaching these kids, at least Urashino and Masamune, I'm pretty sure at least those two, maybe Fuka, they all had her as their alternative school teacher. She doesn't remember any of them though, of course. Otherwise, she could have been told them. But she also is like, all for helping them. But it's only because, not that she remembers, she had to go through it too. Like I said, nothing changed. She still had to go through that awful life. But it's because of that she's able to understand other kids and help these other kids with what's going on. So I don't want to say it turned out for the best. But we see like at some point she changed her last name, so that would help recognize her. But it doesn't matter, because we don't learn her last name until the very. I don't think we learn her last name anyways until the very end. So the fact this adult version could have just still kept the same last name. I assume she changed it to get a different last name than her dad, or maybe she got married. Who knows? Oh, also, random thing before I forget. At some point, Subaru changes his hair color, goes blonde and whatever. Probably not. He's like, why not? Then Aki really likes it. She kind of changes her hair color. She also ends up dating a guy that looks pretty similar to Subaru, same hair color and all that stuff. That's kind of when I was like, oh, that guy's going to do something to her nose or that. So I just want to point that out there before I got it. But so yeah, maybe she got married and changed her last name. Maybe she changed it because of family stuff. But, yep, that's that was pretty much the movie. There's, I'm sure, plenty of other little things. Most of it not slow, just a nice like, oh, enjoying the castle, a little bit of sadness. But I think the big thing is, yeah, Kokoro definitely didn't have it as bad as some of the others. Ooh, and she ended up being the savior of them, I guess. Some stuff doesn't make sense, especially the more I talk about it. But it is a nice movie. It's one of those, just don't think too hard about it. Some of it pretty obvious. Um, you don't need to think too hard about this film. It's just a nice little thing to enjoy. I would recommend it to anybody. Uh, but now I really want to read the book. I wish it would have had more days in theater. Like it deserves it. I don't remember any of the other characters' last names. I don't think any of that matter. I think Urashino was his last name. Everyone else was their first name. I don't know. Rion. I don't know. Yeah. Huh. Oh. Uh, yeah. I thought it doesn't really explain the wolf thing either. It explains like the reason everything's based off of something similar to Red Riding Hood is because that was like a story she liked as a kid, or it was read to her, or maybe Rion liked as a kid, or something like that. But it really doesn't play that much into it. We see like a book on a shelf in Kokoro's room in the castle that, she has books, and one of them all alluded to that, or all of them kind of did a little bit. But she never reads the book, so it doesn't matter. There's not too much that they actually played with this, which I feel like there's more potential, and why I keep going back and saying the novel might have more. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to get them and see, but I also feel like there was just inconsistencies with some of the mirrors, um, because they get all like weird and wavy and colorful after you've when they're in the real world and they can go through it, but it's also like once they go to the castle, they're all wavy and magical. And then it looks like the people who's not there, they just look like mirrors. But then it was just really inconsistent. It's like, I don't know if that's story wise or something I'm missing, but it just bugged me because it's like, well, I don't think these characters are here. Why their mirrors light up? Why aren't they light up? And all that stuff. I know there was one point when Aki escaped into the mirror, it like closed behind her so that she couldn't go back, because at that point, because why would you? She was allowed to escape through one of her mom's hand mirrors, which it's just that part's hard to watch, especially they're just small children. I know it's anime and they try to make them seem older than they are, but it's just like they're so bad. That part was harder to watch. There's another point. Was it this movie? I don't remember. I feel like there was a point it was so quiet, and it was me being an awkward person I was just like, of course I had to say something. Just lean over and be like, "It's so quiet in here," and it was like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up." No, nobody said that, but it was just so quiet. And this goes back to like the theater just being really good, because there's another point. Kokoro and her mom are like in a mall, and like this noise or the sound system of the theater is so good, and it sounded like the background noise of the scene was people were actually talking behind me, and I must have looked like a crazy person because I kept like swerving my head back and looking like, who the fuck's talking behind me? Like, who's talking during this movie? And it's like, are you bored? What's going on? And like, there was one guy above me who probably thought I was crazy, but it definitely wasn't him. I was like, who is it? And it turns out it was just the background noise of the movie. It's just like people were straight up talking, like was having like a real conversation that was just actually coming out through the audio and was picking up. And because of the surround sound system of this theater, which has never been this good before in any system, I've went to movie theaters and went to showings that were specifically supposed to have like pay more for this better sound experience, and it just wasn't there. This one, just a normal theater, it was just comfier, and the system of this one had me paranoid. There was literally people behind me talking. It was that good. But also, are people really just in the background of movies or audio having actual conversations? And it was just like, yeah, it was in Japanese, but it just sounded like real talking. It was driving me crazy. And I was like, what's going on? And people were talking the movie, and I was like getting annoyed, but also like confused. Because why are you talking? Don't talk. Oh, I'm a crazy person. I wasn't even drunk. I didn't even get to drink. Oh, I almost missed the movie. Woo! Okay, so yeah, that's the movie. Uh, Aki adult version again after they go back and lose their memory still meets with Kokoro. I'm pretty sure. It's just like, yeah, it's okay. I understand because they all went through it. We don't get to see the rest of them in the future, and that's something I was wanting to see. Like, oh, where are they now? Or I was wanting to see them at some point, like, because Urashino would be the youngest, but all of them meet up in the future at some point doing whatever. Apparently, Subaru became a video game designer. If I remember correctly, he's the one who ends up making the game Masamune really likes, and what eventually becomes a movie for Urashino. I don't know, though. We don't really see what lies ahead for anyone else except for Aki, who becomes a teacher. But I thought it'd be really cool if like they meet up at some point. It gave us just a nice little clip of like some of them older, some of them still kids, and all that stuff. But no, we don't get to see any of that. Even, at Kokoro, I'm trying to think. Well, no, she had. So, if they're 7 years apart, Kokoro. Wait a minute. Masamune. What year? How old are you? And your first year of their junior high. Fifth, fourth, third. They're like, oh fuck, that makes it even worse. They're like 12 to 14 or something like that. 11 to 14, maybe 15. I don't know. Which, oh, they're babies. So yeah, literally Masamune would be a very small child, and Fuka and Urashino wouldn't exist yet. So you would have to wait until at least Fuka was middle school, right until Urashino was born, something like that. But just wait until the current Urashino we would saw, and then get to see all of them. And Urashino it would have been such a nice scene. I hope there's an after, like something that kind of flash forward scene in the book. I'm really excited for this book now. Me talking about the movie gets me excited. And then the only movie thing related is instead of getting what I wanted, which was that, and something in the end credits or whatever, we see something that should have made Rion the main character. Really, Aki or Rion had total justification for being the main characters of this, except for Kokoro. But it's like Rion going through life and having his memories and everything that he's doing, and then having his sister still as a small kid in the picture with him, and then like fading away, and just goes through different scenes of his life like that. I don't get that. I don't get what's going on with that. It was made it seem really sad. Like it seemed like a really sad ending, or just end credits because of that. I don't know why they did it. It would have been so much happier if they did my suggestion. But I don't know. Did they? Is that in the novel? Like some kind of weird thing like that? I don't know. It was I don't know. I still wanted that happy reunion, but that's the gist of the film. There's plenty more to it. I just kind of said the big things. I didn't want to just go point by point in the film. Just talk about the characters, talk about the main big things that happen, discrepancies. I did like the length, maybe just a little longer. And I don't remember anything specific that could be taken out, but I could see stuff that they could justify taking out if they did want to at least include more of a wolf thing going on, because it's like this was a big threat. Like it was threatened throughout the whole film, and then we only see it that one little time. So it would have been nice for more of that. But everything else I really like. I would watch it again. And try to get other people to watch it with me. But instead, I'm going to get the book. And hey, you're listening to this for some reason. I don't know if it's a spoiler. I guess it's a spoiler. Finding out why everyone's there and like finding out how it ends and stuff. Yeah, definitely spoiled everything. But if you haven't watched it, go watch it where you get a chance. Unfortunately, well, I mean it's fine. It's not a Crunchyroll film, and usually if Crunchyroll has any hand in producing it, it goes on Crunchyroll. But this was GKIDS in America, so I don't know where it's getting put out. I guess by the book or wait for the manga. Seven Seas is putting out the manga in the U.S., so you can wait for that. It's gonna be a long time for that though. But yeah, that's. I guess that's all will say for this before I ramble on too much. Drinks, I went on. Nothing too special. They're little kids. The only instance of drinking in this film went really badly. But yeah, strawberry tea whiskey. Or, well, I don't know. If you're listening to this and you have an idea for a drink related to mirrors or lonely castles or a lonely castle in the mirror, so go ahead, hey, share it with me. And you're like, hey, where can I do that? Well, I'm glad you're wondering that. I'm glad you're taking the interest because you could, hey, if you're listening somewhere that can leave comment, go ahead and do that. Or you can find me on social media, theacstories, or email me at theacstories@gmail.com. Or I have a Discord too. You could join that, be part of the little group. It's little, but I'm going to put the links to all that stuff in my description where you're listening to this. Easy to find, but yeah, if you want to, like, favorite, heart, whatever. There's so many platforms. I don't know which ones to address because you could listen anywhere. Do that. If you can review it, leave 5 stars. That would be nice. Less, of course, it'd be less nice, but 5 stars is always great. But do whatever you feel like. Honestly, I like honesty. And if you can leave a review, do that too so that I can get feedback. If you're going to put less stars, tell me why you didn't put more. Because that helps. I'm not going to change anything probably, but it helps. But yeah, subscribe, follow too. That's the thing you can do on some platforms. Too many platforms. Do all the things everyone else tells you to do and what you might want to do. But I really appreciate everyone listening to me just ramble on. I'm doing this lonely podcast for the Lonely Castle in the Mirror. This is it for this episode of Alcohol Anime. Until next time, I'm the AC. Thank you so much. Bye.